Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Aquaponics World. So I am taking out some of the water out of this one. Today I will not be doing a filter cleaning on here because the filter can go for about a month without a cleaning. I'm just going to be removing a quarter of the water out of here, which is 10 gallons out of the 50-gallon tank. And so if you watched my last video, I showed you that I am tying my plant to the ceiling. So this is just a fish tank and a hydroponic plant at the moment. I am putting some Aquaponics fertilizer into my fish tank so that I can use the nitrates from the fish tank with the Aquaponics fertilizer mixed in to feed my plant. But at the moment, I'm not taking that and then recycling it back into the fish tank, which eventually I will do. As soon as I get another pump, I will be able to filter the plant water and put it back into the fish tank. But for right now, I'm just basically feeding the hydroponic plant with some of the fish water. But some of you might be wondering why I'm tying my plant to my ceiling. And so as you know, I've got some plants in the fish tank. And this plant here, like I've said many times, the water level needs to be above the roots but below the plant. So there's a thin line right there where the water needs to stay, or where the plant needs to stay, basically. The water level needs to be deep enough to cover up those roots, and the plant needs to be held up out of that water. So, you know, I've got it tied to the ceiling, and some of you might be thinking, well, how come your plants can be completely submerged in water and this plant has to stay out of the water? And it's really not anything that I've done any research on in school. I don't know the difference between these plants and this plant. All I know is that the pet store sold me these plants saying that they'll be fine. I believe they were called anubias, and I've looked them up. They apparently they do just fine. I guess they're a little more herbaceous. In other words, they bend, their stems bend, whereas this stem is pretty hard. It's kind of like bamboo. It's a really hard stem. So when this stem ended up getting wet, well, another one that I had growing out of the side ended up getting wet, it got soggy and basically just fell right off. So my plan is to, for these plants like this, where they aren't as herbaceous, where they aren't as soft and malleable, like this plant here is just soft. It just bends around and doesn't have any hard stem to it. So that's the difference between these plants as far as I can tell. All I do know is that hopefully this will help to keep it up out of the water. The sides of this 5-gallon tote help to kind of lean it up against there, so it's pulling it to this side so that it kind of keeps it up against that corner. And I'll probably do the same thing with some tomatoes, so that the tomato vine, and I'll be cutting off any kind of side shoots that come out the side and just trying to maintain one main branch, one main tree. Same thing with the tomatoes. So I'll have like one main branch with a string of tomatoes coming off the side, and I'll probably use something to hold those tomatoes up, but this will just be to hold the plant itself up out of the water. But right now I'm just draining 10 gallons of water out of here, and I've already drained 5, so that was my second tote, so that's about 10 gallons. I'm going to scrub off the insides of the glass. I'm going to scrub off the bottom, and the intake filter doesn't look too dirty today, so I'm not even going to worry about that. Everything looks pretty good on this one. I'm just going to go ahead and fill it back up with water once I've scrubbed the inside, and of course I'm going to be using the dechlorinator to clean the water. This one here is all finished. As you can see, I still have some really fine particle food at the bottom here, which I stirred it up off the bottom. I tried to get it up out of there with my gallon jug of water, my empty gallon jug. I tried to take some of that water out of there, but at the moment it looks like to me like I'm just gonna have to deal with that. Like I said, with this filter system, if I had some loose stuff like that, I would just shake it up off the bottom and it would suck it right into that, right into this filter. This one here, I haven't actually had the filter hooked up since I put it in, since I put the new water in and cleaned this filter. But even still, this one here, when I stir this stuff up, this isn't low enough to the bottom to even suck it up. But that's the intent of having a filter, is not just to have beneficial bacteria in there, but to also kind of collect up some of that food off the bottom. But all the same, you can see that it's way cleaner than it was. I put in some new clean water in there. I've cleaned off this filter. I've scrubbed the sides of the glass. And that is a weekly thing that I do on that. These roots, I cleaned them off a little bit. I trimmed off another branch, so we just have this one tree now. And I'll be able to adjust this height of this string so that when it grows I can lift it up more. And I am going to be adding my nutrients into the water. I did take some of this water here and put it into this tank here, so that when I did the change out, the weekly water change out, it would have some of this in there with this plant. So it is getting some fertilizer. These plants are also getting fertilizer by me adding this into the fish tank. Seems to be doing okay with the fish. So yeah, everything's going pretty good. We'll see how it works out. I still have not tried out my greenhouse kit. I am going to be planting some summer squash. I'll probably do that later today, and I'll do a little video on that, and we'll show you how those little seedlings grow in the peat moss. And I'll be putting the peat moss into the hydroponic system. I'll probably have a separate tank because the water level is going to be pretty much a lot lower than this is. But yeah, that's about it. I appreciate you guys. Like and subscribe. See you guys in the next episode.